Hey listeners, just a quick note that the first 7 episodes of this series were recorded before the tragic passing of Akira Toriyama. We hope that by sharing our love and passion for what he has created, we can somehow honor his memory.
Yep, you will be missed, Akira.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Dragon Ball Z Megapod from Nerdy Jock Media Productions. This is Kevin Ketchum, aka the Nerdy Jock, who exclusively bathes in barrels under a fire outside of his house.
That's very, very true. It's similar to my buddy Goku. And this is DK, aka the DB Guru, who is also the world's second strongest.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
And smells not everything, Dan. Oh, just kidding. Welcome back, guys. We're going to be covering movie 2, the world's strongest of Dragon Ball Z. We're doing a little side quest journey, so we're trying to shoot these and release them in a similar kind of time frame as we are going through the episodes.
Right. We're a little behind because I think by the time this is released, we're already at Namek a little bit, and this is much like Garlic Jr. was the simulacrum for Raditz. The villain in this movie, Dr. Wheelo, is the simulacrum for Vegeta.
Right.
Insofar as just it is a platform on which Goku can do all of his techniques that he learned under King Kai.
Exactly.
Although weirdly folded into this movie is a little bit of actual Saiyan Saga lore. Some things that happen there apparently happened because they referenced them, but we'll get to that when we actually get into the plot of the movie.
Yeah, but we're just excited to be here with you guys. If you are checking us out on YouTube, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, tell us how we're doing the notes. We love hearing feedback from people. So far, it's been fantastic. So thank you guys for all your comments and likes and views on our channels. And also, if you're just driving and you need to listen to a cool pod or a 30-minute pod like this one's going to be, just check us out on any of the audio streaming platforms, Apple, Spotify, Podbean, you name it. We're around. So just check us out at nerdyjock_media, and that's where we'll be hanging. So let's get into this, okay? We're doing the movie The World's Strongest. Basically, this movie starts out in Antarctica or the North Pole or wherever on Dragon Ball World that is. Basically, you have Gohan and Oolong who are on some kind of crazy adventure. Like, what in the world is going on here? And it looks like they're looking for the Dragon Balls, of course. So they're already out of their jurisdiction. Gohan should not be there. That's for sure. Okay.
Right. And how did he even get there without Chi-Chi noticing is a question.
I mean, it happens more often than you think, right, Dan?
That's true.
Okay, so they're actually in the frozen Surumai Saburi Mountain. Sorry if I butchered that name, and it's a place where basically the ice never melts. It turns out that Piccolo is also up in the mountains training himself and training to be the strongest, against Goku. So who is the strongest? We'll never know. Or maybe we'll find out.
And he says, because this place is so cold, even with his most powerful blast, and this is post-Saiyan Saga Piccolo, he cannot even make a scratch in the glaciers.
Yeah.
That's how cold it is here.
So Oolong and Gohan, they make a note that all the Dragon Balls are conveniently already brought together for them, so they don't have to do any work.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know how they don't realize that someone's already doing that, but, it's a cartoon.
And Oolong has kind of just pimped Gohan into being his bodyguard, it seems.
Yeah.
Because they're climbing a thing. It's Oolong who wants to make the wish. He wants to make the repeat wish that he made at the end of the Pilaf arc.
Which is panties, I'm sure.
Yes, it's panties. He's got a very perverted look on his face.
He loves those panties, man.
Right.
Yep.
Apparently, he's so pathetic he needs an omniscient being like Shenlong to actually give him a pair of panties.
Yeah, I don't get that request, but you know what? You do you, Oolong. And so basically, they're climbing the mountain, and then poof, out of nowhere, they see Shenron. The sky gets dark. They say, "Oh man, someone's already making a wish." And it turns out that this guy is this old guy named Koshin. He's like an old lab scientist guy, one tooth in his mouth, very gnarly kind of looking. Kind of look like she could be related to Master Roshi's sister.
Oh, Baba?
Yeah, Baba.
Yeah.
He has that kind of vibe, but a little more lecherous in that guy. But he basically wishes to Shenron that Dr. Wheelo or Uryo in the Japanese version is thawed from under the ice. Because evidently, back in the day, Dr. Wheelo and Dr. and Koshin were working on some secret lab project making strongest beings and androids, which we'll talk about in a bit later.
Yeah, so like living bioweapon people, basically.
Living bioweapons. But
the Guyver.
Yeah, exactly. So, but as soon as his wish is granted, Shenlong's wish is granted, and the ice just breaks up, and then this thing comes up from the ocean or the water, or like this secret lab, flying lab. I don't know what you want to call it. Big capsule that looks kind of like a shell animal kind of vibe.
Right.
And anyways, so they're immediately ambushed by several biomen, and Piccolo sees Gohan and Oolong's like, hey, what are you guys doing here? This is not safe. You shouldn't be up here. Why are you here? And poor Gohan, cool Gohan, by the way, he's actually got his Piccolo training gear on, including the cape, which is kind of cool. I always love Gohan wearing Piccolo's cape. And this is the only time he wears a cape except for before the Cell Saga. So this is kind of a really cool moment, for me at least. I'm like, oh man, Gohan, because usually he wears it without it. And it's cool to have him wearing that cape, and it's pretty fun. So they are ambushed by biomen. Now this is a very interesting part of this film, because it turns out that they actually used some of the original keyframe animation from Dragon Ball Z, from the Cybermen attack.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you remember the fight before Nappa with all the Z fighters, the Chaozu, Tien, Yamcha, they're going against the Cybermen that Nappa plants before Goku arrives. Well, it turns out that these are actually the same exact models. The eyes are different color red, and they have kind of like a ninja mask kind of musket thing over their mouth. So it looks a little bit different, but everything else is basically identical to Cybermen. And you'll actually notice, because I did watch all these episodes recently, there's a shot where one of these biomen goes after Gohan. Well, it turns out it's same exact art and animation from the TV show, because the Cyberman attacks Gohan, and boom, Piccolo extends his arm. He catches the bioman's arm and kind of looks over his shoulder. Same exact shot from the animation from the show. So that's one place you can note that there not only are there similarities between the movies and the show concurrently, but there are actual, borrowed animations as well.
And these biomen, before Piccolo shows up, they're just beating the shit out of Gohan.
Yeah, just tearing him up.
I mean, they beat him so badly, he has partial memory loss, as we'll see later. And
he gets knocked unconscious, yeah.
Yeah, he's about to pass out. And then Piccolo saves him, and then Piccolo gets ambushed by, again, just like in the first movie, by 3 mysterious dudes.
Right.
Who blast him, possibly kill him.
Yep.
And is that the end of the teaser before Hedgehog kicks in? Or is there the little tag at the end where Oolong is screaming at Gohan like, don't tell anybody that we did this?
Yeah. I think that happens before, but I think that's pretty much what happens, is Piccolo gets assaulted as well.
Right.
And then it goes into Hedgehog.
So we have a precedent now that's being done in these movies where there's always a teaser at the beginning before the credits, setting up sort of the mystery of what the story is going to be. And then Piccolo gets his ass kicked, and then Hedgehog starts playing.
Yeah, and that's basically how the movie starts. And then they wake up, or Gohan wakes up, and Oolong says, "Hey man, don't tell your mom and dad about what happened here." Even though Gohan's master at this point, or trainer at this point, is Piccolo, who is obviously at this point captured or dead, captured. We don't even know what's going on with Piccolo. So a little irresponsible for Gohan, who at this point, he looks up to Piccolo the most. But it cuts to the Kami house, and Oolong is there. He's chilling out, preparing himself for Bulma. And then he makes some excuse. The Dragon Radar was destroyed, by the way, and we forgot about that. So he makes some excuse to Bulma, saying where it's destroyed. She gets pissed, and knock, knock, knock. You're knocking the door, like, what is going on? And of course, you see old man Koshin, right? He comes up, appears, and he asks.
Well, first it's the bioman.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, the turtle. Okay. The turtle answers the door.
Yeah.
And the biomen are like, "Take us to your master."
Yeah, exactly. Like, take us to your master, guy. And Roshi, he walks outside, and he's like, "What's going on here?" And it's the bio Cybermen out there waiting for him. And Koshin asks her, he's like, "Are you Mutant Roshi? Are you the strongest man in the world?" He's like, "Oh, thank you. And flattered as usual. He's happy to take that up. But he basically says, "Hey, He's like, they go in the house, get Bulma, or she comes out, and then they capture her. And Mutant Roshi, Master Roshi, basically has to go on their ship and join them just to, keep Bulma safe, which is really a nice move by Roshi.
And now Oolong has to spill the beans to Goku and Chi-Chi that he basically took this 5-year-old child on this very dangerous mission.
Mount Everest-ish mission.
It took him to the Himalayas, essentially, so that he could get a pair of panties.
Yeah, and that's Oolong. What are we going to do with you, bud? Anyways, so Goku finds out, and then they have to get to Dr. Willow's fortress, right?
This movie is a rescue mission.
It's a rescue mission.
So Master Roshi and Bulma, they're kidnapped. Goku has to go and save them.
Yeah. This movie speaks to me a lot more than the first one did, just because it does seem like there's a beginning, middle, and there is a pretty coherent plot. And there's a couple cool things added in this film that aren't really in Dead Zone, in my opinion. Even though I still really enjoyed Dead Zone. But this one's a lot of fun, too.
Well, I guess Dead Zone also is a rescue mission because Gohan gets kidnapped
or
whatever. But I hear what you're saying. I remember from being a kid that the first 3 movies, which were the only ones we had for like 5 years, I want to say.
A long time.
Yeah. I remember this one being everybody's favorite.
Right.
This was the only one that I didn't own for some reason.
This one's cool.
I saw it a couple times. I rented it. I liked it. Amazing battle animation. We'll get into that later.
Right.
But yeah, I do remember that in the old days of Dragon Ball Z, this was everybody's favorite movie of the ones that were released.
Yeah. And then later on here, and the same in this film, it basically just cuts, which I do love about the films. They don't have time to waste, really. They're just like, okay, cut to the fortress.
Right.
So they're going to Dr. Willow's fortress here. It's a really cool design. It's kind of dark, kind of gritty, kind of metallic too. A little bit like Dead Zone, but also a little bit more like space agey, if that's...
The music is really cool too. It's music that you don't really hear in the normal Kikuchi score at any point in the series that I can remember. It's kind of like eerie... like kind of like that kind of like horror movie eerie a little bit, like very, very cool vibe because at this point the audience, we don't know what the hell is going on.
We don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's really important to note here at the same time, Dan, is that you had mentioned this off pod earlier, is that the famous Rock the Dragon, Dragon Ball Z intro song, there's quite a lot of animations and sequences pulled from The World's Strongest Film.
Right. From the first 3 films, I feel like the most iconic shots probably taken from this movie. Goku doing back handsprings on ice and landing on his neck.
Classic.
This next scene that we were just about to get into, because they get into the fortress and Master Roshi is put to the test by the 3 henchmen, Kishimi, Ebifuria, and Misokatsun. These just big, one of them's big, and one of them's muscular, and one of them's like kind of wiry, and green has little electric things, but they're 3 biological androids or, fake people or whatever, these experiments. And they fight him, and he does pretty good. He holds his own. Some great battle animation.
Really cool animation.
But then he loses, and it's interesting because Dr. Willow is disappointed by that.
Right.
Because we're starting to get little crumbs, little clues about what his ultimate plan is. And he's a little disappointed. He's like, I can't believe that the strongest man in the world isn't stronger than the things that I created.
Yeah.
And then Bulma, being a dumbass in this movie, says, "Oh, he's not the strongest man in the world.
Goku's the strongest."
Right. Tells him about Goku. And lucky for Dr. Willow, he doesn't even have to go looking for Goku. Goku's on his way to him right now.
So what a convenient plot twist for both the movie and for Goku.
Right.
Yep. And, so they detect on their radar, Goku is approaching the fortress at speed. And it's outside, it's icy, it's around the iceberg still, that kind of vibe. And Gohan as well, on a side note, he goes against his mother's wishes. Like, has he ever done his mother's wishes? Ever? I don't know, maybe once or twice. But he secretly leaves the house and follows his father.
Oh, we missed one of the most important parts of the movie I forgot to mention, which is the very last time Dragon Ball Z did this, is that we had... So Gohan is studying in his room.
Oh my gosh, yes.
He's studying in his room. Chi-Chi's worried that he's going to be a delinquent someday. Right. He's studying, and he's thinking about, because Piccolo might have just died.
Right.
He doesn't know, but he witnessed it, and he is just kind of like, I wonder if Piccolo's okay. Yeah. And then his very next thought is, I'm going to be a great scholar someday. And he starts singing a song because it's performed by his voice actor in Japanese about him being a great scholar. It's the Shupa Shupi song, where much of the lyrics are like, I love you, Mr. Piccolo.
Yeah.
Like, Piccolo-san, die.
And it's them in like chibi. It's like chibi form too. So it's like little cute versions of Piccolo and Gohan and dinosaurs, because there's always dinosaurs.
Right.
With him.
And this is the craziest part. He is just pouring love out for Piccolo, like, Piccolo-san, die, Piccolo-san, like to say daisuki, and it's doing that, and it's intercutting to his memory of Piccolo dying.
Right.
Piccolo saving him from Nappa and dying. That's Gohan's endearing, loving memory of Piccolo as he thinks about, I'm going to be a great scholar. I don't know if Piccolo's dead, but I love you, Piccolo. You died for me already.
Yeah.
And it is kind of a funny coincidence that the word dai, like big, so like daisuki, like is often used for love in Japanese, that it's the word in English for dying. And he's saying, Piccolo-san, die, while he's remembering Piccolo getting blasted to death by Nappa.
Yeah, it's just
it's a tonally the most confusing musical number I've ever seen before. It's crazy.
I do love the number. I actually watched it twice. I was like, oh, this is great. It's fun, cool moment. But it's like, Gohan, dude.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like you left your dude to die. Like, you didn't tell anyone. Are you kidding me? That's not like you, Gohan. Not at all.
Playing this movie for our mutual friend Mark Dow for the first time, and when
Shout out, Mark.
When this sequence came on, he just looked at me in that wry sort of way that he would do, and it was just like, dude, what the fuck? Yeah. that was it.
But they make so many animes. Actually, if they're popular enough, they have their own series. Like Dragon Ball is going to have Daimo, and I think Attack on Titan has a chibi version of the show, kind of like a comedic version there. And I know
Full Metal Alchemist,
and Gundam as well.
Naruto had a whole one. The Rock Lee show. Yeah, the Rock Lee. I forget what it was called, but there was a whole Rock Lee anime.
Yeah, like spin-off, like chibi anime, which means, if you don't know, like sprite version or small versions, big head, small bodies kind of vibe for anime. It's very popular.
Which I would be remiss
like Funko Pops.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I did not mention that. I mean, even though this existed before Dr. Slump, it was Toriyama that actually pioneered and solidified the chibi archetype, which ended up informing all chibi stuff thereafter. I mean, this is a quick shout out to the man.
Yeah.
That
love you.
I just learned too that like the poop emoji, like that pile of ice cream depiction of poop that's become pop culture. He was the first person to do that. Wow. In Dr. Slump. That was him. I mean, so even now, like the iPhone.
Or slime from Dragon Quest. Same
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
Poop. My God, yeah. We miss you. We love you, Akira.
His fingerprint just, across
all
time. It's all over the place. All over.
But just to go on, I got to say thank you, Dan, for reminding me, because that was a huge point I almost just crossed up. Thank God.
I mean, it's not even part of the plot. Yeah, it's just a side little thing. And then he falls asleep dreaming about Piccolo dying as he tells him he loves him. Chi-Chi comes in and she's like, oh no, my 5-year-old boy didn't finish that advanced physics textbook I gave him to read.
What a delinquent.
Yeah. Fucking Chi-Chi, man. She's Momzilla.
Yeah. So that was like back in like scene 3. So we're actually gonna
right back to Goku arrives.
Yeah, now we're gonna fast forward back to when Goku arrives. But that was a great tangent because we really needed to touch on that, because I love the cool songs. It's the first or second and last time we're gonna have that in the films.
Yeah.
Okay. So
not because I don't think Lord Slug Gohan's whistling counts as a musical number.
Yeah.
Because it's a plot device. It doesn't work if it's a plot device.
And obviously, Koshin and Dr. Wheelo, they want Goku here to test his strength and his abilities to see if he's indeed the world's strongest. So the doors are lovingly open for him, and he enters. And then some really cool battle sequences happen here.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Do you want to go and talk about the battle sequences? You're the expert on the battles, but
a little bit, yeah. I mean, just looking at the animation staff for this movie, I mean, you got all the names. Obviously, Minoru Maeda is directing. You have Shimanuki, you have Sato, you have Yamamuro. I mean, just looking at that list, and it's so, I mean, just these guys who are just iconic, and they're still doing it across time and stuff like that. And yeah, so Goku is really put to the test. These 3 henchmen attack him at varying points in various ways. The big one. Go ahead.
Before we get the big one, though, so this is concurrent when Goku has been to King Kai's planet in the series. He has learned Kaioken. So obviously, if you're making a film when he knows Kaioken at this point, he's going to bust out some Kaioken.
Right. Which I mean, rewinding to my childhood, it was watching this movie was the first time I ever heard it pronounced Kaioken.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because in the episodes it was Kaioken.
Yeah.
And then in the movie it was Kaioken. Maybe because it was being informed by Peter Kalamis listening to Masako Nozawa's performance. He's like, oh, that's Kaio. Okay, I'm just gonna say Kaio. But yeah, he was the first to do it. Shout out to Peter Kalamis. And he uses it to basically puncture a hole through this big...
Cool scene.
Dude, yeah.
So this if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see, we'll cut an animation in there too. But it's this huge guy, and he says, Kaioken, and he goes like, what, I don't know if it's 1 or 2 at first, and he can't get through. And it's this big, stretchy dude. He just goes out of his body, through his body. He's like, ugh. Doesn't quite pierce his android skin because it's so bouncy, kind of like the Blob from Marvel's X-Men, if you know Blob.
Right.
You know, same situation. You can't break through it, almost Juggernaut-ish. And it is, and I think he does like a ×3 and boom, and it finally...
Not ×3
Okay,
yet. Yeah.
And he finally punches through, and it's really cool. And that one kind of deflates, he kills that one right off the bat. And then the electric guy gets a hold of him next.
Right, the electric guy gets a hold of him. He gets free of that. He ends up fighting both the dudes in this really awesome sequence.
Really cool.
Yeah, and then eventually he gets frozen in ice.
Yeah.
There's a guy with a little Mega Man ice cannon gun and freezes him in a block of ice.
Yep. And and that's basically that like fight before the other Z fighters arrive. I mean, so Piccolo comes out to fight, starts knocking Gohan around. Real quick. He's like, oh no, he's evil Piccolo. You can tell his eyes are red. He's got controlled nodules on his head that are like gold in color. So you can tell he's being controlled. Obviously, Gohan's like, no.
I think that's a little bit later. That's after. So Krillin has another hero's entrance like he did in Dead Zone.
Yeah.
You know, they make a meal out of Krillin's arrival in both of these movies for some reason. He's a popular character at the time.
I think he's great.
He's a popular character at this time. So, but he and Gohan end up getting frozen in ice too.
Oh, yeah.
And so all hope seems lost. Goku uses the Kaioken again. It's Kaio. Yeah, and bursts out of the ice.
Finally.
Defeats everybody, and then they head into Wheelo's lab where Piccolo, who is now under mind control from Dr. Wheelo, now becomes the foe.
Yeah. And just continue. Yeah, go for it if you can.
I think you've got this. I got this. This movie is your forte.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, you're right. Okay, so then Dr. Wheelo comes out eventually. He's this big brain in a very similar android body that you'll see from the original Dragon Ball with the Red Ribbon Army.
Yeah, kind of Geiger-esque design.
Kind of a Geiger, exactly. Kind of a little bit like Aliens, but also a little bit of original androids from Dragon Ball. So he's kind of got these weird arms, and you'll see that character design quite often in Dragon Ball, and even sometimes in Dragon Ball Z. But it's a big, giant head in there. I don't know why his head's so big. He's human, but I guess he's the smartest guy in the world. He just needs the strongest body. So you get a really cool sequence here where they start fighting, and this guy, he seems pretty...
I think he's still encased at this point. We see him, and Gohan, is like, Piccolo, why are you attacking my dad? And Piccolo hits him or something.
Right, he just smacks him down.
And then Gohan's rage is unleashed.
Right.
Just this is all your fault. And then just causes a huge explosion. His burst of energy that rips out of him. Just amazing animation.
Yeah.
This wave just rockets across the floor. It's literally cracking this lab in half in a way that this crazy climate could not do.
Exactly.
And then eventually he breaks the little golden tendrils on Piccolo's head.
And he becomes Piccolo again.
And this fight between Goku and Piccolo, it's really beautifully animated too.
Top notch.
Yeah.
I think, if you're going to compare animation from Dead Zone, which is good, which is really some great sequences, to The World's Strongest, I definitely see that there's definitely, you could say they spend a little more budget on this one. for sure.
A little bit more, yeah.
A little bit more.
And I think that the animators were a little bit more comfortable with the new character designs as well. They feel very at home in the Saiyan saga.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's some of the best looking Dragon Ball Z animation that there is in this movie. I would agree.
Okay.
And so anyway, so Piccolo goes to get revenge against Dr. Wheelo. I guess this is the point where he breaks free. And
then then Goku has to step it up because obviously these attacks aren't working. So he uses a Kaioken times 3, big time.
Right. This is my favorite instance of Kaioken ever being used ever.
Right.
The way that it's animated, the way that the acting is, because you see Goku looks scared almost.
Yeah.
And he's like, I have to fight as long as my body can withstand this. And then when he shouts Kaioken times 3, he looks scared. And when the energy comes out of him, it looks painful.
No, just to add on that, this is actually the same sequence. If I remember, that isn't also in Rock the Dragon as well. When he's doing Kaioken. So
same with breaking out of the ice.
Exactly.
He does both of those.
They use all that in Rock the Dragon. So really, really cool animation, and just it's kind of the flagship for when they started. Like, hey, this is a great place to start.
Right.
And no wonder why they used all that animation, because it's awesome.
I don't know who boarded the sequence. I don't know who animated it. I don't know how much control over boards Daisuke Nishio had with all of this stuff, but I love the storytelling that is in these shots where he shouts it, he's scared. It's like, like it hurts as it bursts out of him. And then he just clampers down he's like, I have to control it. Otherwise my body, he's just like, like gritting his teeth because he doesn't want his body to just explode from this force of energy that's exploding out of him. So it's my favorite Kaioken ever. Just
there you go.
Visually, the storytelling, amazing, great. He fights with it, just like with Vegeta. Times 3 doesn't work.
Times 3 doesn't work.
Fires a times 3 Kamehameha.
Yep.
There's a bit of a beam struggle, and just like with Vegeta, Kaioken times 4. And then, bam, blast again. Wheelo.
But he blasts him into outer space.
Right.
So this is kind of a cool sequence. Like, what the hell? I was like, this is how you know this one was made as a feature. Dead Zone, it was kind of questionable. Was this made more for TV? But this one, you say, okay, we can put this in the theater now because they just went to outer space in this one.
Yeah.
So Goku does a times 4 Kaioken, Kamehameha, blows him into out of the stratosphere, and he's just kind of floating up there. Willow's like, oh, I don't know what I'm just gonna blow up the whole Earth, basically now.
Right.
He's like, screw this all. These guys are
Wheelo
pissing me
is
off.
a terrible villain.
Terrible. Not the best villain.
He had Piccolo. He could have put his brain in Piccolo's body.
Yeah.
Clearly, Piccolo can contend with Goku to some degree.
Exactly.
But he didn't. He put a weird device on Piccolo's head.
Yeah.
He didn't do that with Master Roshi. This guy is just all over the place. No wonder he was buried under fucking ice.
This guy, not the best villain, but this is more of a hero movie. A lot of really cool sequences from the heroes,
Right.
And then, so Dr. Wheelo, the bad guy, decides to blow up the Earth, and he starts just sending grenades or whatever, laser beams, key beams down on the planet to destroy that whole area.
Yeah, so Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin go into outer space.
Gohan, Piccolo, and Krillin, they actually utilize their fastest flying abilities, but they don't just go fly horizontally. They go straight to outer space.
They achieve escape velocity. They break through the gravitational pull of the Earth and go into outer space.
Have not seen that on Dragon Ball Z before, and I don't think I've seen it since. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I think Bardock did it, but again, a TV special.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're basically all three in outer space trying to fight each other from outer space. It is pretty crazy because they're just kind of floating around there. Like, what is going on here?
Right.
I don't think they know what's going on.
While Goku is charging a Genki Dama, aka Spirit Bomb.
That's a cool note because in this film, first time they're using the Genki Dama. So you're like, hey, if they knew this power, this skill, we got to use it all right now. And of course, he starts powering up his Genki Dama, which against all big bads is pretty much unstoppable.
And this might be, if I'm thinking about the order of episodes that have come out. So Dragon Ball Z started airing in April of 1989. I'm relying on your math abilities for this.
Yeah.
So this movie came out in March of 1990, so a year later. So the episode that Goku used the Genki Dama was in the 30s. Yes. Okay. So this is the second time we've seen him use it.
Exactly.
The episode where he had aired it had already occurred shortly before this, so the audience already knew what it was, all that stuff. But it's done in a really, really cool way.
Really cool way.
Yeah.
It's very touching, almost as good as it's up there with even like the Buu Genkidama, like later on in the Buu saga. As far as the energy, they take some really cool shots of like the earth and the rivers and the trees and the plant life, and it's just kind of showing the Genki, even the planets. It shows them taking a little Genki, so it's really cool.
It was seeing these movies that solidified in my mind, and the episodes, of course, that the Genki Dama was a basketball-shaped energy thing, which made it that much crazier when Goku made a Genki Dama in the Frieza saga that was the size of a moon, basically.
Yeah. Pretty crazy.
It was like, oh my God, that thing is huge.
But that one took a damn year to make. I mean, literally probably took a year to make that Frieza Genkidama, but we're not even there right now. We'll get to that later.
Oh yeah, just in terms of episode releases. Yeah.
It took like 12 episodes to launch that freaking Genkidama.
In my notes when we're going into episodes, there are so many moments where time is mentioned. Where Vegeta's like, oh yeah, you can be in the medicine pod for about
30 minutes.
an hour. That's like an hour and 37 episodes.
Yeah, you're like, oh well, still not quite recovered yet, but that's a different pod.
Right.
All right, just finishing this one up now. We're wrapping it up right now. It's exciting. It's cool. The animation is fantastic. Goku has his arms up. He's collecting the energy Genkidama, and he launches it, boom, into outer space.
And Gohan before this does something, right?
He cracks his armor.
Oh, right, yeah.
He cracks this transparent brain covering supporting Dr. Willow. I can't remember exactly when he did that, if he did it earlier or in outer space. But he gets pissed off, is like, oh, you whatever, and he does his famous flying head into the bad guy technique. I think. Pretty sure.
We just watched it.
We
cannot remember how he actually kills Dr. Willow.
Exactly.
But he triumphs. He thanks Piccolo. Piccolo's like, it wasn't me, it was Gohan.
Yeah.
Gohan's super happy to hear that. And and then it ends on a little bit where Master Roshi's like, there was one cool thing about Dr. Willow. He thought I was the strongest man in the world. And they're like, yeah, you're just a pervert.
No, he's like, Bulma says you're just the biggest lech in the world.
Right.
Basically.
And then everybody laughs
They do.
for an extended amount of time.
Yeah, I remember that too.
God, the laughter goes on forever.
Oh my God, that was great.
I think I took a nap when they started laughing and I woke up and they were still laughing. It's crazy.
I remember I rewound it and watched it like 3 times. I was like, what did she say? Because I was watching the subtitle version and I was distracted at the moment, but I rewound it and then they did that. And she's like, okay, Bulma says he was the greatest lech of all time, which is funny. And then they laugh like, oh, heavy chuckles. And that is the world's strongest.
That is the world's strongest. Yeah. Directed by Daisuke Nishio. Released March 10th, 1990.
Yeah.
Again, back in the 90s when we didn't have a lot of Dragon Ball Z, I remember this as being everybody's favorite movie, except for me, because I didn't own it. So
let's say, we didn't rank Dead Zone. If you were to rank Dead Zone 1 through 10, what would you rank Dead Zone?
In terms of just story?
Just like whatever. The joy, entertainment value, all of it combined. Like, what would you rank it?
That's hard. I would give it, just for my own personal personal nostalgia and how it planted that seed.
All of it.
I would give it a 6.
6. Okay, that's a little more conservative than I thought. I thought you were going to go 7 or 8, but I'd give it a 6. But World's Strongest, what would you give that?
I would give World's Strongest a solid 7.
Yeah,
better battle animation. Yeah. I'd say a more fun story.
A more fun story, yeah. There's a little bit of intrigue with the strongest. And Roshi's involved.
I think I like characters. I Want to Be a Scholar. I love Piccolo's song
that was
more than the I Am a Genius because I'm drunk song.
Right. Yeah.
So I would give this a solid 7.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I'm going to go a solid 7 on World's Strongest as well. It was a lot of fun. Animation took 3 or 4 notches up, and they had all the best moves and some really cool fight sequences that they used throughout the entirety of Dragon Ball Z and the Rock the Dragon cut.
Totally. Yeah. The first 3 movies in general. So thank you so much for joining us for this very special Dragon Ball Z Megapod minisode. Please like and subscribe. Leave a comment. If you didn't like it, tell us why. If there was something that we missed that you wanted us to cover, let us know, and we will yell at each other on the phone for 3 hours about it.
Exactly.
Trust me. Just let us know. We love interacting with you guys. Thank you so much for being so awesome in the comments and for engaging. We love all the theories. Yeah. We love the debate. We love the argument. I mean, we all love Dragon Ball Z. So, let's keep it spirited. Let's keep it fun. We're all one big family in this fandom. So let's keep it going.
So remember, @NerdyJock_media on all platforms.
All right.
All right. Until next time.
Peace.